In this video, we're going to be talking about putting all of the station's IFB numbers into your smartphone. IFB stands for interruptible foldback because it folds around your ear, and sometimes is referred to interruptible feedback because it's going to interrupt what you're hearing on air. But it all has to do with the earpiece that you're wearing in your ear. On all the live shots I was on, my earpiece was plugged into a black box that was given to me by the photographer who was running the live shot. And that black box was essentially its own separate cell phone that called into the station, but instead of the phone number going to a person, that phone number went to the audio of what was being broadcast over the air. It could be Judge Judy, Wheel of Fortune, any kind of programming, and of course, the news when it was news time. This is helpful because you already have a general idea of where your story is in the newscast. But hearing the audio before your story calms you because you know where the newscast actually is. As you stand out there in the cold, the heat, whatever you're doing, just waiting to go live. Your producer will periodically break in and give you audio cues. For example, they'll tell you 1 minute out, 30 out, sometimes 15. Definitely, they'll tell you 10 and then tell you to go. So now you might be asking, Andrew, if I'm given a box that basically acts like a phone and I'm being cued, why am I putting the IFB numbers into my personal and work cell phone? You're doing it in case that black box doesn't work or the battery dies, both of which have happened to me. The photographer should be testing that box beforehand, but the battery can still die right before a live shot. Another reason why you're doing it, and you're gonna think I'm kidding as I tell you this story, the story about the day that the photographer I was working with turned down the newscast audio from the truck so it could never get to that black box. Now, we did the mic check 10 minutes before the show. Everything was good. This IFB check takes place at least 10 minutes before the broadcast goes on. So if you're in the 5 p.m., you're doing this at 4:50, if not a couple of minutes earlier. If you're at 6 p.m., 5:50. The 10 p.m., 9:50, if not a few minutes earlier. We had done this and it was good. I could hear my producer, they could hear me. This should go well. And it was between that check and the beginning of the newscast that my photographer turned down that audio. How? Why? I have no idea because nothing needed to be touched. My IFB audio was good. My microphone audio was good. And as we got closer to the newscast, I noticed I wasn't hearing anything. I wasn't hearing program audio, which can sometimes cut in and out, so that part was normal, but I couldn't hear a producer saying 1 minute out until show. Definitely no 30, there was no 20 and no 10, and I was getting a little spooked because it was 4:59, I'm in the 5 o'clock, and I'm the top story. What tipped me off is the producers tell all their reporters in the field 1 minute out, and then they also say when the show starts. Typically, they'll tell you we're in the open, meaning that opening animation. I wasn't hearing anything from her. And keep in mind, I'm a producer, so I'm really worried and knew that something was wrong. Also, I was the top story in the newscast, and that's because I was covering the discovery of the body of a murdered woman who was left in the woods. I knew the photographer was not going to make it back in time, so I took out my cell phone and scrolled to the IFB number. Here's a very specific pro tip for you. Make it one of the favorites on your smartphone so that all you have to do is go to your favorites menu. Usually that's listed within the phone app. So I picked number 1 because it was the first one at the top, dialed in, and noticed, whoa, we were way past headlines, way past the open. In fact, we were in the anchor intro and a sentence or two into that intro. So I just played it off like I was on the phone getting more information, and when they said my name, I made sure to sort of exaggeratingly nod my head, hoping the producer could see because somehow he can hear us, like somehow he knows what's going on, and would realize that I would be able to pull off this live shot. And there it is. And hopefully this entire video helps you, while it's my hope that you never have to actually use the advice I've given to you in this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll see you in the next video.